Young Souls is a very interesting game that tries to combine beat 'em up gameplay with action RPG loot and progression. We ran through the entire game on stream thanks to a press key from the developer, and you'll find the full play of it on our second channel. But having gone through the entirety of it, I feel the game makes some very critical mistakes and design issues that are preventing a lot of people from enjoying it. And I want to talk about what the game does right and wrong in this review. So, our story is that we play as two twins who their adopted father apparently discovers an underground world full of goblins who are threatening to rise up and take over the surface, kidnapping him and leaving them in the only position to beat up as many heads as they can to save him and the world. Now, from the footage that you're seeing, you're probably wondering if this game is procedurally or randomly generated or not, and it is not. Every level is 100% handmade. There is no randomized gear, although sometimes you may get randomized drops off of enemies, but there is a strict hierarchy of where loot can be found based on the overall difficulty of the level. After the kind of lengthy exposition at the start of the game, the general play involves you moving from hub to hub. Each hub has a collection of zones, and these zones are kind of like your beat 'em up stages. Beat them in order to get treasure or get MacGuffins you need to move on to the next. Beat the chapter boss, and then you move on to the next, rinse and repeat. In terms of the general gameplay or the general beat 'em up nature, you have your normal attack, strong attack, block/parry, and the ability to dodge roll, which is based off of your stamina. Now, what makes this game very challenging is that enemies are all too happy to gang up on you, and there are no iframes. It is very possible to stunlock enemies and be stunlocked at the same time. The only way you can cancel out animations normally is with your dodge, and keep that in the back of your mind because I'll be coming back to that point in the second half of this review. As you collect gear, you'll find different weapons, shields, and armor pieces, and you're free to mix and match as you see fit, with the option to upgrade them using materials that you find throughout the game. As you play through, I was enjoying the progression of finding new weapons, getting new passive skills on them. But if you're hoping for that ARPG kind of synergy of trying to create really great combinations of gears, maximizing their passives and so on, Young Souls doesn't go that far. And it definitely falls more on the beat 'em up side than it does the ARPG side. I do want to shout out the game's aesthetics and animation. It has a really great look to it. Some of the enemy designs are fantastic, especially when you start fighting some like the larger, kind of more detailed fights. Now, with all that said, the game does not feature online play. It is remote play or local play or bus. And if you play this game single player, you are free to swap between the two twins whenever you see fit. If you're playing this multiplayer, you have both players active at the same time. Now, while all this sounds really solid, and the idea of combining RPG progression and loot with the fast pace of a beat 'em up is a great touch and something that we've seen with some other games, such as Full Metal Furies, Castle Crushers, and I think there's a few more out there. The issue that Young Souls has is that it's trying to do a lot of different elements of beat 'em up design and RPG progression, and I feel that it's trying to do too much and ends up being more frustrating than it needs to be. And we're going to talk about that next, but first, a quick break. And as always, if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then be sure to check out my latest design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with free-to-play coming in 2022. Young Souls definitely has all the potential to be a fantastic beat-em-up, but the problems that it has lies with how the design kind of clashes with the gameplay and progression of it. Now, the title features multiple difficulty settings as well as assist modes. But the issue is that at the baseline or just the core gameplay loop, there are several noticeable issues with how the game handles. The main one is the delay in response from animations. Anyone who's played any kind of action or beat 'em up game knows that being able to quickly react after doing an attack, dodging, or whatever is a hallmark of it, so that you're not just standing around and taking punches and kicks to the face. With Young Souls, there is a noticeable delay between the swing of the attack connecting, and then the animation resetting before you're able to move or respond to an attack. Many enemies in this game get hyper armor or super armor. And what will end up happening more times than not is that you will swing your weapon, the enemy will start its attack while you're in mid-swing, you'll hit them, and you will not be able to get your character out of the way in time before that super armor enhanced attack connects with you. And if you're playing this on the higher difficulty, these enemies are far more aggressive and they do more damage. Now, as I said in the first part, you can dodge cancel out of any ground-based animation. You cannot dodge or defend while you're in the air. However, dodging is linked to your stamina, and stamina recharges at a somewhat slow clip when you are not doing any kind of dodging or maneuvers like that. And for many bosses and elite enemies, they will just rapidly use hyper armor extended attacks or just incredibly damaging combos that the only option is to smack them and then immediately dodge out of the way. And that makes combat feel very repetitive because of how limited you are in that respect. Fortunately, enemies do not have a auto wake up attack in this game, and when anything is on the ground, they can still be targeted. And you get to some very funny moments if you're knocking enemies in the air and then just wailing on them as they're bouncing around on the ground. Now, here's the kicker. In the assist mode, or the assist options, you can turn on block canceling. And if you do that, you can almost inherently break the game with wide weapons, such as the two-handed ones, because they swing into basically different planes. You can hit an enemy, immediately block to cancel the recovery time, and then just go at them again and again. There's also several very frustrating sections in this game that are clearly designed to have two players on the screen at one time, which are further adding to the frustration if you're playing the game solo. There's a section about 3/4 of the way through where you are forced to use weapons that basically give you only 1 point of health to fight ghosts. And if you're trying to do this by yourself, it can be very frustrating to try and dodge multiple enemies attacking you all at once. Now, another point about the parry system is that there are some enemies that you are required to parry in order to have any chance against them. Bosses get a parry meter that must be reduced before they'll actually get stunned. But one of the things that I noticed was that there are several times where the kind of cue that the enemy flashes for a second before they attack, it's different in terms of its speed. Like, there are some enemies that the cue comes and then they attack immediately, while others are a little bit slower than that. And it can be annoying to take hits when you're trying to read the specific tells. Now, with the beat 'em up aspects, with the RPG aspects being tied into the beat 'em up side, there really aren't a lot of viable choices in terms of builds as you get later into the game. And make no mistake, later gear will almost 9 times out of 10 be better than gear you found earlier, but is at a higher rarity. And once I found one suit of armor and one weapon combo, this was about halfway through, I never took it off because it was just like the best combination of damage, defense, and speed. And I was hoping again for a little bit more complexity in terms of these systems. All in all, I would say Young Souls is on the frustrating side, but there are more than enough assist modes and difficulty setting changes that you can tweak or adjust at your leisure to let you get through it. And I would definitely say that if you have a buddy that you can play this game with, give this one a shot because it is a really entertaining design, and I think that would only be better with 2 players. But unfortunately, if you're only going to play the single player, there may not be enough elements to keep you engaged, or you might get frustrated at some of those sections where you just kind of feel like it would be even remotely doable if you had a second buddy there, or you try to cheese it. And I will also say that definitely good luck on the final boss, because it is a very challenging fight regardless of your difficulty. But with that said, I want to wrap up this review here. Let me know what you think of Young Souls if you did play it through. Do all the liking, subscribing, commenting, and so on. And if you'd like me to tickle your game in the future, please get in touch. Check out our Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.